In this video, I'm going to talk to you about one of the most difficult points in English grammar, articles. We're going to look at how to use a and the correctly. In my previous video about articles, I covered some of the basic general rules. So if you haven't watched that one yet, please go back. You might want to go back and take a look at it for some of the general rules about when to use a, and the. In this video, I'm going to get a little more specific, and I'm going to look at how we use articles when we're talking about places. Articles, as I said before, are extremely difficult. So we're going to just focus on one aspect, places, and some common expressions with places, and look at how to use articles. Like, is it at school or at the school? Or to church or to a church? Or why is it the Ohio River but not the Ohio? Or the beach but not the nature? We are going to look at these points and answer these questions right here in this video. We're going to start with some common fixed expressions that we use every day when we're talking about home or school, work, maybe something like church. When we use these everyday expressions, most of the time, we don't use an article. And when we do use an article, then it has a little bit different meaning. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So when we say, it's time to go to school, or, hey, Rob's at school right now, I am talking about the place where you go every day to get education. Like, Rob's at school. Okay, he's at the place where he goes every day, sits in the same class, and learns. Same thing. It's time to go to school. We're just referring to, again, the place where we go, whatever school it is, to get an education. Normally we use this with no article. Now, if I say something like this, the city wants to build a new school, here I'm really focusing more on the building. The city wants to build a new school. So in this situation, I will use the article a. And again, I can use the when I'm wanting to be specific, maybe about a specific building or a specific institution. There was a fire at the school on Plainfield Avenue. So you and I are having the same idea which school that I'm talking about. It's the school on Plainfield Avenue. I'm identifying it. I'm being specific. There's just one school there. The school on Plainfield Avenue. Now, if I'm talking about the school again as an institution, I might say a sentence like this. The school sent a note home to all the parents. And here when I say the sentence to you, if I say to you, hey, the school sent a note home, then you, the listener, I can assume you and I are thinking about the same school. Maybe it's the school where our kids go or something like that. The school as the institutional organization of this place sent a note home to the parents. So again, everyday usage, I will probably say I'm going to school. So again, everyday usage, I'll say I'm going to school. He's at school. What time does school end today? School usually ends at 3. Why does school end at 12:30 today? What's going on? So in these situations, I will not use an article. But if I'm talking about the school like a building here or the institution organization, then I will maybe use a or the. Okay, let's look at church. They're going to church. Similar to when we use the word school, they're going to the place, whatever church it is that they go to, and they go to regularly. I will use no article. They go to church. They're going to church. I always turn off my phone when I'm at church. I'm referring to the place here, no article, where I go as a regular habit. If I said something like this, I want to get married in a church. Again, here I'm thinking about the church like as a building. I want to get married in this religious building. Or the church on Leonard Street is in a Gothic style. Again, I'm talking about it as a building, not a concept, an actual building, and I'm being specific about what church I'm talking about. It's the church on Leonard Street. So we often use the when we're being specific about something. And then again, when I'm talking about it as an institutional organization, this one I'm probably not going to use this type of sentence as often as the other ones. Then I might use the article the, like here. King Henry VIII had a disagreement with the church. And if you know about history, there are some major changes which happened because of this disagreement. Let's look at home. We are at home. So here again, I don't use an article. Let's go home now. I don't even need a preposition. I don't need to say to home. The expression is this: let's go home, or we are at home. Many people are working from home these days. If I use a home, like in this example, I'm really again thinking about a place to live, like a house. I hope we can find a home for the stray cat. Let's talk about work. Bob is at work. Again, no article with this when I'm using work in this way. What I'm meaning here is that Bob is going to the place where he works, his job. And the way that we usually say it almost all the time is like this: Bob's at work. It's time to go to work. And I can use work in a different way, right? Not meaning the place where I go to do my job, but simply the effort that I did on something. And that's what you can see in this sentence. The work you did on this project is great. So these two sentences, or these three sentences, you have some different meaning between the first column and the second column. The first column is the place where you go to do your job, which we just call generally work. Bob's at work, time to go to work. And in the second side, the second example here, you can see that I'm using work slightly differently, more about effort, something that you did, something that had more of a distinct beginning and an end. The work you did on this project was great. Now, work is a non-count noun. So if you remember when we talked about count nouns and non-count nouns, we never use the articles a or an with non-count nouns. So we're not going to say a work you did on this project was great. Okay, there is one exception to this. That's when you're using work like a work of art or something. That's a very specific use, which I don't want to talk about too much right here because we will get more confused. So in general, work, like in the sense that I'm using it here, is a non-count noun. So you will never use it with a or an, unless you're talking about a work of art, which is different. Now, another place that is a common feature of our lives is the store. And you notice with this one, you'll see that people use the article the in front of it very often. The store, however, can still just be referring to store, any store, in a really general way. So people will say like this: I'm going to the store. Do you need anything? I hate going to the grocery store. I always buy too much. Now, in my first example, it's probably not clear, or it might not be clear, which store I'm going to. So why do we use the this way? I don't really have a good answer, but this is what you will hear people saying, and this is what people say often. So I might say, hey, I'm going to the store. Do you need anything? And you might ask me, well, which store are you going to? And then I will tell you the answer, and we can decide if you need something. But often it will start like this: hey, I'm going to the store. Maybe this is from years past when there was only one store, and when we said it like this in English, everybody knew what store we were talking to, and just the language hasn't changed. I don't know. That's just my personal theory, and it's not really important why. Just know that people will commonly use the article the in front of the store, even though we're really not being specific. So of course, we can still treat the word store as we do with any of our other nouns. We could say like this: is there a good shoe store? Like anyone? And then we can say, be very specific in using the store to refer to a specific store. Something like this: I wanted to go shoe shopping, but I had my dog with me. The management said I couldn't bring a dog into the store. So here it's clear I'm talking about the store where I was trying to shop. So let's talk about college. College is a place where you study after high school, and in America and United States, we often use this to refer to college and university. And usually we don't use an article, same like school. So we would say something like this: hey, where's Caleb? Does he still live at home? No, he's in college now. He lives at college. He'll be in college for the next 3 years. So it's a lot like the word school. I don't need to use an article in front of it. But we can, like this: is there a college in the city? Now I'm thinking about it more like a specific institution here. Is there a college? Any college? Or, again, being very specific with it, there's a rule at the college that says students are not allowed to carry guns. So when I used it like this, the college, I would only use a sentence like this if you and I were both thinking about the same college. So that's how I would use the. Now let's talk about university. So here's where we have another difference between British English and American English. British English will use university with no article. He's at university. In American English, we will say he's at the university and then probably give the name. Because when we're talking in general terms, we just mostly say college. He's at college. And it has the same idea here as university. But if I want to be specific about the institution, then I will say the university. For example, the University of Michigan. Again, I can say there's a large university in my city. The university. Now you and I are thinking about the same institution, the one in my city. The university has 2 school newspapers. And if I want to say a university, notice that I don't need to use an, because university starts with U, y. It's like a Y sound. It's not a vowel. So I would not say an university, but a university. It's a little note there. So let's talk about a hospital. This is another common place in our lives. Hopefully it's not too common unless you are a doctor. And this is another place where we have a difference between British English and American English. So British English, I might say, my father's in hospital. And that would be like the first picture here. It means my father is a patient. He is being treated. In American English, we will use the. My father's in the hospital. Why do we have this difference? No idea, but we do. So I will say, my father's in the hospital. And this means he's a patient. Now, if I say my father works in a hospital, or my father is in a hospital, then this is thinking about it like a building, the place where he works. Or the hospital where he works is famous. I'm talking about a specific hospital, the hospital where he works. So in the first 2 sentences, in the hospital, it's like as a patient, or works in a hospital, or the hospital where he works. Here we're talking about it more as a building. Okay, let's talk about a little more of our environment. The mountains, the ocean, the beach, the woods, the forest. So we often use the in front of these general expressions referring to our physical environment, the world around us, and our climate. I think this implies some kind of shared concept. of which mountains we're talking about or which sea we're talking about. Regardless of how this started, this is how it is in English today. We'll usually make sentences and refer to things like this with the. So I might say, would you rather go to the beach or to the mountains? Would you like to live by the sea? In the summer, I love to go hiking in the forest. Marcella has never been to the ocean. So we will use the in front of the mountains, the ocean, the beach, the woods, the forest when we're speaking about things in general ways, but we will not say the nature or the space, like the outer space. These are two exceptions. So let's talk about mountains and mountain ranges. We're getting pretty specific here. So we use the with names of mountain ranges like this. We'll say he climbed a mountain in the Himalayas, or they live near the Rocky Mountains. When we're talking about the name of a specific mountain, we will not use the. We will say, hey, that's a picture of Mount Denali. We will not say the Mount Denali. So the, when we're talking about the whole range, like the Himalayas, the Rocky Mountains, the Alps, the Appalachian Mountains, but as an individual mountain, we will not use an article. And bodies of water. Okay, so if we're talking about rivers, we'll use the, like the Amazon, the Ohio River, and the names of seas and oceans. They also get the Atlantic Ocean, the Caspian Sea. And the difference is with lakes. There is no article with lakes, like with the name of a lake, like Lake Superior or Lake Baikal. All right, we're almost to the end here. We're going to talk about states and cities and then countries. So with states and cities, here's the good news. No article, ever, in front of state names or city names. We just say, he lives in Alaska. She lives in Texas. I want to move to Barcelona. With countries, it will depend. Most of the time, we don't use an article with the country name. So something like, he's from Japan. She's from France. We will use the when the name of the country has a common noun like republic, state, or kingdom in it, like this. The Democratic Republic of Congo, the United States, the United Kingdom. And finally, also, when we have a plural form of a country, we also use, for some reason, the, like the Netherlands or the Philippines. So that was a lot. And if you've made it this far, how about taking a small quiz to see if you can guess where you should use an article in this paragraph? So, and, the, or nothing. Those are your choices. Why don't you pause the video for just a minute and see if you can guess, or use your memory, which article, if any, will go in these blanks. Okay, let's check. Let's read this together. I was tired of sitting at home. No article here with home. I decided that I wanted to take a vacation. I couldn't decide if I should go to the ocean or the mountains. Remember, we use the for some reason when we're talking about the mountains or the ocean in general terms. Finally, I decided to go to the Rocky Mountains. The name of the range gets the in Colorado. I had read about this place when I was in school. No article here with school. Before I went, I made a trip to the store. In general, we use the with store for some strange reason. It was a great trip. While we were camping in the woods, we rafted on the Colorado River. I fell out of the boat and had to go to the hospital. Because I'm from the United States, I will use the there. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. I'm sure you have a lot of questions about articles. If you would like to ask a question, go ahead and leave it in the comments below and I will do my best to answer it. So if this is useful for you, go ahead and consider subscribing to this channel because you will see more videos every week. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.